India with Designer Accessory Adoption. Thanks for watching this video. Welcome back to my channel. If you are new, thank you so much for giving my channel a try and clicking play. And for my folks that are returning, thank you so much for returning for another video. If you're interested in anything related to fashion, luxury, secondhand, product reviews and things of that nature, lifestyle topics as well, please consider subscribing, and we'll go ahead and get started with today's video. As you can see from the title, this is going to be the part 2, as I promised, of the why I sold my Hermes Victoria. So if you have not seen that video and you're interested, I will link it up here in this card or screen, whatever it's called, up above, so that way you can check out it from beginning to end. And this video will be segmented into 3 parts. 1 will be an unboxing, that way you can see that and move on if that's all you're interested in looking at. 2 will be me talking about a little bit of the pros and cons, and not pros and cons actually, really it'll be more so talking about the cons that I was able to find out during my research of this handbag, and why, even though there are some cons, I still decided to make that purchase. And then the last part will be, I will be discussing my Fashionphile experience. So I will stick timestamps down below, so if there's something that you are more interested in, you can jump to that part of the video. And I apologize for the congestion. I'm still getting over that. My illness from not a couple of days, but I was ill for several days, and so I'm still getting rid of that congestion. So sorry about my voice sounds very irritating to me. I don't know whether it sounds the same to you, but that is why it sounds weird, if you're wondering why. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So now we're going to cut over to the unboxing that I previously filmed. I bought this bag back in, was it November or October? I think in October. So I've had the bag for a little while. So we'll cut away to that unboxing now. All right, so just simply sliced it open and just hurry up and record this unboxing. So lovely paper here. And Fashionphile has great packaging. So we got the receipt and the beautiful pink and gray confetti with the Fashionphile. Alrighty, I'm getting ready to so we are seeing this together, and apparently I have it upside down. Let me switch the box around here. It is tied. Beautiful lambskin. It feels very soft and supple. It is very tiny on my initial impressions of it, but the leather feels amazing. Absolutely amazing. There is a little bit of corner wear, which I really could not see from the photos, but I can see better here. So I have to inspect that a little bit further to determine whether it's at the level where I'm okay with keeping it. But yeah, very pretty. Hardware looks great. Comes with this one came with the original rain jacket as well as the card, so that's nice. And it also came with the strap, which is here. This is a very skinny, dainty strap. And then also the original dust bag for it as well. So the interior is, oh my gosh, it feels amazing. You really can't see inside that well, but it is the same color interior as the exterior. All right, so now that you've seen the unboxing, we'll go to the second part of this video, which will be talking about some of the cons during my research that I discovered and still decided to get the item and the reason why. So going over those cons, pretty much I don't know about you, but I watch a lot of videos. I'll read articles, I'll read blog posts, things of that nature, to really try to understand and fully grasp what I'm getting myself into. I've long wanted a peekaboo, but that's just was never something that was higher priority on my list. And so now that I decided to take the funds from something else I sold and apply it to that, I decided to jump in there and get the Peekaboo Fendi. So there are a few things that I mentioned are cons that I did want to highlight. So in case you are looking into getting a Fendi Peekaboo, you'll be aware of these cons. Hopefully this will save you some time. All right, so first up is going to be that the difference between, first up, let me start here. There are 4 sizes of the Peekaboo, and there's the micro, there's the mini, then there's the medium, and then the large. And then I know that they have, that's of the traditional one, and I know that they have like the extra light and all of these other ones that are come out, but those are the ones for the traditional style Peekaboos. So with those, I'll probably like you that are, if you're interested in one, is you love that beautiful display or that photo that you gravitate towards when you see there's a beautiful bag, but then you see the front pocket, not front pocket, but the exterior of the bag folding down a little bit, and it's giving you a peek inside, hence peekaboo, of a beautiful color, different pattern, different color, or something of that nature where it's different on the interior. Now, I really love that idea and aspect, and actually thought that was something that I was going to do. So first up is going to be, in order to achieve that peekaboo effect, it is extremely difficult. You have to do what people call training your leather to actually fold in. So the reason why it's a beautiful idea, but I thought that's something that I'm not going to do, is because there is some glazing on the sides of the bag. Also, you're going to end up with creasing in that spot. And in order to keep it from doing the peekaboo effect when you don't want it to, that means that you would have to use the lock clasp closure, that turn lock, to lock it closed in order for it not to sag. Because once it sags, that's, it's not going to not sag. There's no button you can push and say, remove all the wrinkles and stand up straight. So knowing that, I thought, okay, even though it's super attractive, the likelihood of me actually wearing it that way and wanting to wear it that way all the time just really didn't seem like something that I would do. So for those reasons, I said, okay, even though I love the peekaboo effect, it's likely not going to be something that I'm going to do. Now, the sizes was another factor in there. So with the peekaboo effect, it actually is easier, slightly easier, but still hard to do it on the large. It is harder to do it on the medium size, and then it's impossible to do it on the smaller sizes. And I knew I wasn't going to get a large size. I was debating between the medium and the mini, and the two biggest reasons why I was debating between the mini and the medium is because the medium has bottom feet. There are some minis that do come with bottom feet, but it's not as often that you see them with bottom feet, unless you probably get a Celeria, I think, or Celeria, however it's pronounced. That one, I think, more often comes with the feet at the bottom on the mini size versus the medium, which all the time you can find ones with bottom feet on there. So the other aspect of it is, with the size, I really don't carry a lot of items in my bag. So I knew that I could fit everything I wanted in the medium and still definitely have ample room to fit other items. So I thought, well, do I really want to get a larger bag just to get the bottom feet? Also, I'm telling myself I'm just really having wishful thinking when I'm thinking, oh, well, when I do need extra room, I have the medium, because I have other bags that can serve that same purpose. So it was just kind of a silly idea for me to buy a larger size in the rare case of never that I'm going to need all of that space. So I decided that even though I absolutely love bottom feet, it's not going to be a deal breaker for me. And so I decided to go with the mini size because it fit everything that, based off of my research, it seemed like it was going to fit everything that I really wanted to carry on a regular basis. All right, so next up is going to be We talked about the sizing and the peekaboo effect. The other piece is the fact that the way that the bag is structured, it basically looks the exact same on the front as it does on the back. So when you wear it in a crossbody, it does cause the portion of the bag that is going to rest against your body to cause the hardware, the turn lock, and then the box portion where the lock has to go through, the twist portion has to go through, to clasp and click on each other, like basically clash while you're walking from the movement. And people had discussed that they would lock their bag temporarily for that reason. So I tested it out using handbag organizers because I felt like it would give it enough room to where it could rest on my body. I could walk around and keep the bag open because I really like the aspect of being able to get into my bag without having to unzip something, without twisting something or whatever, and I still feel secure. So I went with that approach versus wanting to be able to close it up. Because the other aspect of it is when you do use that lock closure, a lot of people will discuss that they only keep it closed when they're wearing a crossbody style. Whenever they get where they're going, they will open it. And the reason for that is because it causes this little depression on the structure of the bag. And I probably should have brought the bag with me so I could point at things. Let me go do that one second. All right. So this is mine. And if it's coming off more blue, it is a bluish gray, more like a dark teal undertone. But I think with the light, it does come off more blue. It picks up the blue more. But anyway, what I was describing here is this lock closure. So I have the inserts in, so I can't really close it up. But in this area here, it causes it to dip inwards when you lock it closed, which could cause creasing in this area here, which will basically be the spot where you, if it was to do the peekaboo effect, it would kind of droop down in this area here and then fold forward. So I figured that in order to keep from having to open and close it and risk the hardware clacking up against each other unnecessarily when I wear it, is to use handbag inserts. So as you can see here, it basically keeps it open. So I unlocked the little buttons on the side here. That way I can easily get in and out without basically having to touch hardware, unlock things, unzip things. And then I have my organizer in here to keep it open. So my plan is strictly to keep it open like this when I carry it, even when I wear it crossbody. Now I haven't wore it out and about, but when I did test it out around the house, wearing it as a crossbody, it seemed to work well if I stuck an insert in it and then walked around, and it kept it just enough distance between it so that way I didn't have to worry about the hardware touching each other. Like you can see here, here's the hardware here and then the hardware here. So that's what I decided to do for kind of those two complaints about the hardware I can't get my words out. The hardware rubbing against each other unnecessarily, and still keeping me still being able to get in and out my bag pretty good. So that is the next thing. The other piece that I just thought about that I did want to mention is the fact that I've only heard one person mention this in a YouTube video, but I definitely will repeat it here because it was another deciding factor and the reason why I would not go for the medium and I went for the mini. And that is because the person's theory, and if I can remember their name, I'll throw it down below here so you can check out the YouTube channel. But her theory was that because this hardware is so heavy, on the medium, it was too heavy for the leather and it would cause the bag to topple over. So she did mention that with her medium, the bag did have the tendency to fall over. And I thought, well, why in the world would you be okay with your bag falling over? That means that is more chances for this part of the hardware to hit something hard and nick it and scratch it. Also, it leaves it likely for this piece here, if your bag is locked closed, to also be exposed to damage and potential issues and hardware scratches that are not necessary when it falls over. So for those reasons, I thought, yeah, I just might as well not even go for the medium. So just wanted to mention that in case you were thinking about a medium yourself. Now, one item, I think they did bring this one back as a revamp, but you absolutely can find this one on the pre-loved market because I have seen it not as often, but you can check it out, which is the Peekaboo in the East-West. I've seen pre-owned ones in like the ombre style color pattern, and those are probably pretty good because then you get more real estate as far as like lengthwise, but you still get that medium size. So that might be something you want to consider if you do want to go pre-love for Fendi Peekaboo. And I don't know if I mentioned this or not, but I did say through Fashionphile. So obviously my bag was pre-owned, so it was not the full retail price. And I'm trying to remember the other piece. The other piece of it was a lot of people that I saw videos for did mention that this is a Napa leather. It's a Napa or lambskin, which I think are the same. But anyway, it's very soft. It's supple. It is a beautiful leather. However, it is probably less hard wearing because of its soft texture. So I did not see too many people who had the minis mention that there were issues with the lambskin. However, I did see people that mentioned they did try to mentally be extra cautious or a little bit more cautious or aware of their bag surroundings or movements that they were making with the bag on their person because they did want to protect the softness of the leather. For me, I don't go travel in for work on a day-to-day basis. I work from home. I also travel, and I do not carry high-end bags with me when I travel. So these are usually used when I'm on a week, 2-week basis, and I'm not using them day to day, even though they may be sitting waiting for me to use them day to day. So I'm usually just running errands, going on a dinner date with friends, meeting my mom, doing some shopping, but not like it's a day-to-day kind of, I'm doing the regular movements of going into the office, running around town, and that kind of thing. So for me, it was not as big of a concern to have the lambskin because due to its soft texture. It wasn't a concern for me. But if that is, definitely it is more often than not that the mini comes in that softer leather. It feels amazing. It feels beautiful. But if you are rough on your bags, you tend to put them on the floor or something like that, you may want to reconsider that or at least look for one with bottom feet. You can find them. It's just probably going to take you longer. And I really wasn't even willing to wait. So that's why I ended up with this one. And I wanted one with a bright color. So I think now that I'm trying to think back, I think that's all of the cons that I did want to mention. Someone did also, one other con is that the hardware, for whatever reason, tends to scratch up easily as well as tarnish. I don't see evidence of any tarnishing on this bag, but I did want to mention that. And it really wasn't a big concern for me. I decided I wanted it bad enough that I just would try it out and see how it worked. And the nice thing was that even though I had already planned on buying it pre-owned, so that big depreciation that you get once you basically take it off the lot, walk out of the store with it brand new, someone's already paid the price for that. And now I'm getting it at a lower cost. So for those reasons, I wasn't too concerned with it. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. I'll find something else. But I just really, really, really wanted to try this one out because I had been wanting it for so many years. Like almost 10 years, I think, the Peekaboo has been on my list. All right, so, excuse me. Moving on, this will be the last segment of the video. And we will be talking about my Fashionphile experience. So, I did decide to sell my bag, which is my Hermes Victoria, through Fashionphile. I could not find exact dates on kind of like when I first submitted the ticket. I probably just didn't look hard enough. But I would say overall, the whole process for me took about a month and a half. The reason for that is because when Fashionphile, I think, gives you 30 days from when they send you the offer to accept that offer and ship your bag to Fashionphile. All right, so with the Fashionphile offer, I took my pictures, uploaded those photos with additional descriptions with the item. So if there was anything that was wrong with the bag, there was some corner wear on my Victoria. So I photographed it as well as described it. Also, I told them what included in that description box, what would come with the item. So I told them basically my Victoria did not have a dust bag, but it had like a luggage tag and it had the lock and the keys. So I did mention that in there too. And then I just was very descriptive as far as like with pictures as well as in the comment box or the description box to let Fashionphile know. And that way they could get a good idea of the condition of the bag. So I submitted that in. And I want to say it definitely was less than a week. So probably like a few days later, I did get an email stating that I had an offer. And so you have a period of time to accept that offer. Now, from the point where I think it's 30 days to, it's either 30 days to accept the offer, or once you do accept the offer, you have 30 days to ship the item in. I want to say it actually was 30 days to accept the offer. So my period of time took, the reason why I said mine took, for my experience, it took a month and a half is because I submitted it, I got an offer, and before I pulled the trigger, I really wanted to be sure that I would be okay with sending the bag off. So I took an extra couple of weeks to really think about it and make sure I would be okay with selling off my bag. So it is a quicker process if you just know without a shadow of a doubt you want them to buy the bag from you or the jewelry piece or shoes or whatever you're sending to Fashionphile. It is quicker if you are more decisive, but for me, I just really, like I said, wanted to make sure that I wasn't going to regret it. Because once it leaves out the door, that is it. You can always repurchase it, but, you know, if you already had the item there, you know, why go through all that hoopla if you don't have to? So overall, I think the process is pretty quick. I don't remember whether I went through it on the video or not, but I just do want to take a second to mention why I decided to sell it to Fashionphile versus selling it myself. So the reason why I actually decided to go through Fashionphile is because even though Hermes is a super popular brand, they're more well known for certain handbags versus others. The Victoria is one of those where actually you can go on their website and purchase it, but not, you can go on their website and purchase it, but not a lot of people know about the Hermes Victoria. It's not really a popular style. So for those reasons, it's not one of those ones that are highly coveted. And that means that there would be, for example, I'll just use my hands as like a measurement. So the reason why I wanted to go with Fashionphile is because even though I could sell it on my own through one of my Poshmark closet, or my my Tradesy closet or somewhere like that, is because there are only a certain amount of people that can afford that handbag. It is still pretty expensive even though it was used. So for that reason, there's only a certain amount of people that really either could afford or were willing to pay that amount of money for that bag. Also, there are less people searching for that style. And since Fashionphile has a broad spectrum of customer base, and I've seen them offer Victorias before, I thought it's probably better that I go there because whoever's probably looking for a Victoria, it's more likely that they may find it through Fashionphile versus me putting in the right SEO terms in my Poshmark closet or my Tradesy closet for them to actually find it. Also, you have the benefits of it being, they have a 30-day policy, things like that, where, you know, there are reasons people go to Fashionphile, and so I want to basically maximize not the experience, but basically it just made more sense to me for that rare style. I don't even want to say rare style, for that less popular style to go to Fashionphile versus me selling it on my own. Obviously, I knowingly went into that decision knowing that I would not be able to sell it for the amount that Fashionphile would be able to sell it for. Another reason why I went that route is because also I did some research, and like I mentioned, the numbers are really low for people selling that bag. And when I saw other accounts where people had the same bag for sale, they had their bag listed for a while. And I didn't want to wait a whole year for my bag to sell. And so for that reason, also, I decided to go through Fashionphile and take more of a hit, because obviously Fashionphile is a business. So they're not going to offer me the full price that I can get for it if I sold it on my own. They have to sell it to me at, I have to, take more of a hit on the price, so they get their, basically Fashionphile can get their money back. So I knew that going into it. So those are the reasons why I decided to go with Fashionphile versus selling it myself, because I just really didn't want to wait a full year, like I said, as well as I felt like it was more likely that Fashionphile would find a buyer for it versus me finding one. All right, so moving on from that, Fashionphile gave me my offer, so I took an extra 2 weeks. So like I said, you have 30 days once they send you that offer to send your bag in. So you have two options with Fashionphile, and that either is to ship the item in yourself, or if there's a Neiman Marcus in your city, you can send it through Neiman Marcus. So I actually decided to send it in through Neiman Marcus. And one of the reasons I decided to do that, actually for two reasons. One of those being that I wanted to make sure that if something happened to my bag in transit, it was on Neiman Marcus and not on me. That was my logic with it. Also, I wanted to go through Neiman Marcus because I was backing up against the holiday. And so I was a little nervous that my bag would not make it there in time. If I were to ship it myself, I felt like, Neiman Marcus has a little bit more clout. They'll get it out quicker. So I just decided to go that route, to go through Neiman Marcus. It was pretty easy. Basically select that I would go through Neiman Marcus, and really it felt weird because I thought I needed to write down a confirmation number of some sort or print out something, but no, you really didn't. They had your name, so basically all you needed was your item and your driver's license, and I dropped it off at the Neiman Marcus. The sales associate who took the bag from me, took a photo they basically took a copy of my driver's license, which they inform you of that, and then they just take the bag from you. So it was a pretty seamless process and a paperless process at that. So the only issue I had with that, the Neiman Marcus piece, is you do get an email confirmation basically saying thank you, you sent it through Neiman Marcus. So that's basically kind of like your paper trail or your confirmation that you did physically hand that item off to someone who worked for Neiman Marcus in the Fashionphile drop-off area, or whatever they call it. So you do get that email. After that, though, you do not get an email with a tracking number or anything like that. So the only notification that you have that your item arrived is once... Actually, the only way you do... I think you get an email from Fashionphile when the item arrived. So I do want to say... The guy did warn me of that. He said, hey, you're going to get a confirmation email from us that you dropped it off, but you won't hear anything from Fashionphile until they inspect your bag and confirm that it's real, it's in the condition that you said it's in. So what I did is to make sure that my bag made it there by the deadline, and to confirm that is I called Fashionphile a few days after my bag should have arrived, and I called them to confirm and make sure that it did make it there. So I will say I wish that you do get a tracking number, so at least, when you're sending in expensive items like that, you really want a paper trail for every step of the process. So I do wish I had something like that. But other than that, it was definitely very seamless. Fashionphile did have a warning on their website that said, it's going to take a little more time to turn around checks and basically like the buyout program, but I didn't experience a delay. I think literally within a week, in less than a week, I definitely will say that the bag arrived. Fashionphile had sent me an email back saying, we got your bag, it's authentic, we're mailing your check. So it was a pretty smooth and seamless process, and I actually checked the website. So I think after I got that email from Fashionphile, I probably waited a couple of days and actually saw my handbag on Fashionphile's website, and they actually sold it for the price that I was thinking that I would be able to sell it for if it was on my own. So It's kind of funny to see that up there and just know that basically my research and experience with selling pre-owned goods, my numbers were correct in my head. So it was a little confirmation of that. But yeah, so Fashionphile really had it up there photographed and described quickly. So they move real quick. I will definitely say that. So I want to say overall, the full process of me submitting my photos, all of that stuff, dropping it off, probably was more like a 2-week, 2.5-week process. Yeah, I'd say that overall, it was probably about that amount of time. So it's pretty quick. They mail you a paper check. The only other complaint that I have, like I said, it's just more so you just want to be able to have a paper trail of things, is once Fashionphile will ask you how you want to receive your payment. So that's whether you want to receive a check or whether you want to receive credit, a store credit basically. And I picked a check. And then they ask you for your your address. So let me take a sip. My throat's like, girl, you need to stop. You have not talked this much in a while. So I will say the only other piece that I was a little nervous about when you're talking about expensive items, you really want to make sure all the boxes, the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. So the only other piece is when I gave them my address to tell them where to mail my check, I couldn't find that anywhere else on the account. So I wish that you can basically see a history of the information you submitted to them. So that way you can make sure that you have proof that you provided the correct information. The only thing that I was concerned about is really with that is, what if somebody fat fingered in the address, my address, and so when they typed in the little ticket to print out my check, they put the wrong number, they put the wrong number, so maybe they flipped around the numbers of my address, but I don't have proof of that because I can't see what I submitted. So the only thing I can suggest to you is take a screenshot before you hit the submit button, because when I tried looking around through the email confirmation and through my Fashionphile account, I could not see where it had said, this is the address we're mailing the check to. So that's just something to keep in mind. If you're listening out there, Fashionphile, that would be something that's extremely helpful, especially when people are giving you expensive pieces, just really to make sure that they can see the information that they submitted to you in the offer window, as well as if they do ask for a check, that they actually can see the address that they submitted to you. So that way, if any discrepancies comes up where the check's mailed to the wrong place or something like that, that customer has proof that they gave you the correct information. And the tracking information would be great. So that way, you just have ease of mind and make sure that your bag actually arrived and had no issues on its transit to the store. So that's my Fashionphile experience. Overall, I definitely think it was a great experience. It's a business, right? So even though you think you're going to be able to sell your bag for $2,500 on your own, you have to give up some of that money because they're offering you a service. They're giving you the money up front. There's no guarantee that it's going to sell. So they're taking more of the risk. So you have to understand that you're not going to just lose $500. That basically they have to be able to create a gap in their, some security in their risk there to make sure that they're able to recoup their funds. So if that's something where you're really stickler on the price, I would suggest sell it yourself rather than going through another place to sell it. But if you kind of don't want that hassle of having to photograph it, market it, ship it out, and things like that, you are giving up those conveniences by giving it to another consignment store to sell it on your behalf. So just think about that when you're thinking about the price. So that is all I have. So definitely let me know if you have any questions down below. I definitely appreciate you watching this video. It is longer, but timestamps are down. And obviously, if you made it to this point, you made it to the end. So thank you so much. Definitely check out another video, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye.